On the last 1,000 sales calls that we booked in, we've had between an 80 and 90% show rate. And this is across multiple clients and multiple offers, as you can see some examples of over here. Now, this video is going to be extremely short, extremely tactical, straight to the point. And I'm just going to lay out the three main things that we focus on to make sure that we can have the best show rates possible. And the first thing is going to be your pre-call page. So every single time that we book in a call, we redirect the traffic to this page. And the key things here is that we want to have a video that explains the next few steps, like the basic information about the call, how they need to confirm their call, setting the frame of the call, making sure that they understand that if they don't actually go through this stuff, we're going to cancel the call, and framing this in their best interest so they actually want to check out the resources that we are sending them. You know, letting them know that we are going to be calling them up if you're going to be doing a triage call. If you don't do a triage call, then you should at least reach out to them on WhatsApp or something, introduce the closer, which we'll get into in a second, and making sure that they understand they need to reply to that message and they need to engage, right? So that we can actually confirm the call. And if they don't, then we're going to be canceling. Why it's important, we go into a little bit of the results and stuff. The next thing is the offer breakdown video. So we basically have a video. We don't always do this, but a lot of times it's good to have a video, either a case study video or a offer breakdown video that goes into detail into what you actually do, how you're getting your clients' results, and what that kind of looks like, so they can understand what it's going to look like to actually work with you. The next thing we do is we take the most common questions, concerns, objections that we get, and we make them into bite-sized FAQ videos. So as you can see, examples over here, examples over here. If you don't know what these would be, a very good place to start is to look at your sales call recordings. Or if you're brand new, then you can just make some up that you think people are going to have or that you've seen in the past. And then you can change these out as you see what is actually, you know, something that you should include in these videos. The next one is, I don't have an example of this here, but you can also make a video where you help your prospects do research into your reviews, into like what people are telling or saying about you online. So if you have reviews, if you have case studies, if you have you know, whatever, Trustpilot, Google reviews, whatever, you can make a video going over like, okay, you booked your call, you're probably skeptical about like what we do, how it works, and what our clients are saying about us. So let me actually help you do some research on that. And then you can go into like looking up the company name online and seeing what people are saying, right? So you can basically make sure that people understand that you are getting good results and what that looks like, right? Now, if you don't have this, you can also do this just by going over testimonials, client results and everything. Make a separate specific video just for that. And then under, like the last thing is we have our top interviews, our top like case studies. Previously, we used to have just every single one, but we've seen that you should try and condense this page as much as you can. If you have too much stuff going on, people are going to just not really do it. And that is also why we say like, go through the steps below or your call will be canceled. So we basically let them know. And even as you're going to see in the emails that we're sending and everything, we also let them know like, hey, if you don't check this out, if you don't go through this, we're going to cancel the call. And that is genuine. If they come onto the call, or if they tell us that they haven't seen stuff, then we're just going to reschedule them or cancel the call, depending on if they actually seem serious. So that's number one, getting a proper pre-call page that redirect all your traffic to. The next thing is the automated flow. So this is email and SMS. And a key concept here is don't make these salesy and boring. Make them actually valuable and interesting. So what I mean is give insight into your story, how you kind of came to this realization of whatever mechanism you're selling. So that can be, for example, you were struggling with, let's say, signing clients. So you had to come up with a better strategy that didn't involve cold outreach. And that is how you came up with like the Instagram flywheel method, whatever. You get the point, like introducing the mechanism, introducing your story, giving a lot of case studies and like examples of clients. So like this is an example over here, giving the transformational story of, you know, in this case, Joe, right? How we dropped over 20 kg of pure fat, right? That is like a big pain point for a lot of the ICP that we have, is like losing fat and actually keeping that off. And, you know, we send a lot of emails with these details in here. So as you can see, some of these are just, you know, straight up reminders, like the SMS reminders. Some of them are like specific just to redirect back to like the pre-call page to see like, hey, by the way, you need to check this out if you haven't already. And then the most of them are like connection, unique mechanism, work less, make more, know our results, staying busy is keeping you stuck, social proof montage, yada, 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 right? So a lot of these we're linking back to YouTube videos, we're giving them assets, we're giving them worksheets, we're giving them a lot of resources for them to go through. And you might say, like, this seems excessive, sending, between 3 and 4 emails every single day. But if you look at the top offers, they all do this, because even though your prospects might not see every single video or every single email, they are guaranteed to see some of them when you're sending this many, right? So, for a fact, nobody's going to read every single one, but you don't need them to. You want them to read at least a few of them, at least one a day, for example, right? And then you're also reminding, you're framing the call, you're just building up a lot of the urgency, the perceived value, the actual results that you're getting for people. You send them to other assets so they can consume more and become more warm before the actual call. And linking back to client interviews, case studies, your story, the mechanism, explaining it. You can break a lot of the limiting beliefs that people have, everything, right? So we send between, like I said, 3 and 4 emails every single day, in addition to SMS reminders and everything. So if you want, by the way, if you want a copy of this, like basically me sending you this, like an example of one of our clients, that way you can take this entire thing, you can upload it into Claude, for example, with your details about your offer, and you can have AI just literally rewrite these emails to be tailored towards your offer. If you want that, just DM me on Instagram. I'll send you the link to this one, and then you can use that to create your own. Now, obviously, if you did AI, I would suggest that you go through and check over. You don't want these emails to come across as like, oh, I made this with AI and the intention is to sell you. You want the intention to be, I'm here to help you. I'm here to serve you. Let me give you more information about what we're going to be covering on the call, our clients, how this works, how this is different. Make it genuinely interesting for them so they actually consume it. The next thing is the manual flow. So this is basically where we get the setters and the closers to manually reach out to the leads and keep them engaged before the call. This is extremely important, because if you just do automated stuff, a lot of people are going to be forgetting about the call. They might not really be that interested. And also you risk that they don't actually check out the stuff. You want to have people on their ass so they actually do go through the stuff that we need them to go through. So number one is that if the setter booked in the leads, a big thing I see is that a lot of setters, they just stop the conversation as soon as somebody books in a call. We want to continue the conversation with them to show that we didn't just speak with them in the DMs to get them to book in a call, but we're genuinely interested about, their journey. So keeping the conversation going, this can be small talk about, for example, something they put into the form, where they live, what they do, if they have any hobbies, like connecting with them, whatever, or it can also be business stuff. So like, continuing talking about their goals and like what they want to get out of the call and whatever. And then keeping them engaged, showing that you're actually caring, because on Instagram, the setter is obviously impersonating you as the business owner. So by you as the business owner, which I would assume is the person that we're going to be working with, it shows that you're genuinely interested, even though you're not even going to be the one that speak on the call with them. Or if you are the one speaking on the call with them, this is obviously equally as important. You need to keep them engaged. And if the lead books in by themselves, so if they book in from a YouTube video, for example, where there were no setter involved, then we still get the setters to reach out to them on Instagram and impersonate the business owner as to like, yo, I saw you booked in the call, excited for you. What are the main things you want to get out of the call? I saw that you put this into the form, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, that is like super important. The next thing is that the setter, if you have a closer, we get the setters to reach out to the leads on WhatsApp. So obviously we would get their phone number information. We get the setter to reach out to the leads on WhatsApp and basically let the closer know, or the closer would know, because we have automations, we have like notifications. So the closer essentially, or the setter, will reach out to them on WhatsApp, and then the closer does the triage and the intro to the call on WhatsApp, or over just phone, app messages, whatever you would prefer, right? So the setter basically does manual reminders on IG, and then the closer does the WhatsApp, what we call the pre-call combo essentially. And then also, if you have low show rates or low qualified leads, for example, on the calendar, I highly suggest doing triage calls, because you can qualify people, you can make them very aware of the stuff they need to do before the call, and you can kind of put them in a position where they feel like they need to show up because you genuinely put in time and effort into speaking with them before the call. It sets a very good tone. So this is very good but again, if you have really good show rates and all the leads are qualified, and also good close rates, then you don't really potentially need triage calls. It's something that you would have to see. But WhatsApp pre-call convo, like I said, the setter basically says to the lead on Instagram, like, yo, I had my right-hand man or my head of inquiry or whatever the case might be, my business partner, reach out to you on WhatsApp. I just want to make sure you got his message. Did you get that? And then obviously the closer would reach out to them on WhatsApp and be like, hey, this is the name of the closer. So like, this is Stefan, if that is the name of the closer. I'm here with the business name. I'm the head of inquiry. I'm the guy that's going to be taking care of you on the call that you have coming up this Monday, whatever. And then you confirm the details. So like, I just got the details from you based off of X, Y, and Z, the stuff that you said on the form, and the business owner filled me in on your situation. And then we get the closer to send a selfie video of himself. This can either be evergreen, so like you just say, hey man, for example, or hey, or you can make it personalized. So like, hey Jamie, that is obviously preferred. So you would basically send a video to the leads, like, hey, this is Jamie. I'm the guy that's going to be on the call with you on Saturday. Just want to introduce myself, yada, yada, yada. We have the script over here. And then if you do triage calls, you would basically just call them up. And from here, you would go into a little bit of like, hey, we just try and like, hey, this is Stefan again. I reached out to you on WhatsApp too. I'm going to be the guy that take care of you on Monday. But we always like to call in advance to see if we can save you a little bit of time and just make sure that we are as productive as possible. So do you have like 2 minutes? Yeah, sure. Cool. And then we go into a little bit about the qualification, a little bit about the discovery, understanding their goals. This is mainly just to get them engaged, to get them interested to actually show up to the call. And also if you need to qualify them further. So we have you can pause the video, a very like subtle way to qualify if it's like a B2, like if it's a make money online offer, if it's not a make money online offer, for example, fitness, if it is a situation where we know their occupation, we don't know their occupation, stuff like that. And then goals and struggles, we basically just keep them engaged, do a little bit of the questions that we would normally do in the discovery, just to make sure that we can keep them engaged, like I said, and understand a little bit more details around their goals, their struggles, and then questioning them about the stuff they said on or on Calendly. So if they said like, oh, I'm a 7 out of 10 to work with you guys, then we would ask them, what makes you a 7? Why aren't you a 1 and why aren't you a 10? And then yada, yada, yada. Again, pre-call assets, we make sure that the closer understands that it is his responsibility to get them to actually consume these things. So if he has to call them multiple times and double check, whatever the case might be, it needs to get done, right? And they need to understand that if they don't, then we're going to cancel the call, right? Cancel the call. Engage them in the conversation, send them the meeting link so they have that already, and then obviously call reminders. And then that is mainly the things that we do on WhatsApp and in the triage call, right? And then we also, as I told you, have like the actual setter after they book in a call on WhatsApp. So this is like the WhatsApp DM framework that we have for the openers, the full DM framework, the post-booking flow for inbound leads, follow-ups, everything. And then they have like this as well. So they go through this before the actual closer reaches out. It's going to be literally difficult for people to not show up because you're going to be in contact with them on WhatsApp. You're sending reminders. You're literally calling them. If you have low show rates, you can also do an initial triage call as soon as somebody books in a call, which, by the way, this should be done like literally within 5 minutes. I think it says here, like triage call done within 5 minutes. So like as soon as somebody books in a call, you call them up. But if you still have low show rates, you can also try and call them up a second time, let's say a few hours before the call or the next day, something like that. The point is to keep them engaged and make sure that they understand the value of the call, right? So framing the call as if it's going to be valuable. However, they also still need to understand that it's going to be a call to see if they would be a good fit to actually, like it's going to be a sales call, but it's also going to be valuable, and then also actually making the call valuable also obviously helps. You make them actually, like you force them to watch all of these assets, which are direct sales assets made to like make the sales way more easy. You have all the email reminders and SMS reminders to even just like make sure that they go through this even more. And then you have the setters and the closers manually keeping the leads engaged as they've booked in. A lot of times people book in a call and they're like, oh, my job is done, like that's it. But that is when you should put the most effort on the leads because they're the closest to closing. right? So you should always keep the most momentum on leads that are in the sales cycle, the closest to closing, or they've booked in a call, or they're very close to booking in a call. That is when you should keep the most attention on them. So I hope that makes sense. Again, if you want the entire email flow that we sent and examples, you can just literally put it into AI with your offer details and have it script the entire thing. So you save yourself literally hours and hours and hours. Then just comment, or not comment, just DM me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. I don't have a set or anything like that. It's going to be me. I'll actually just send you the link to the document, so don't worry. And yeah, hopefully you got some value from this. You can implement this literally now and start seeing better results with your show rates. If you have any questions, whatever, DM me on IG, and I will see you guys in the next one.